tonight. That's been pushed back again. We're going to talk about that as well. And of course, there's so much more to get into. I mean, where do you want me to go? What do y'all want me to bring up next? I don't know. I have no clue. We'll figure it out. First takes in the house. You never know with me.
Right now, we're still in the hunt. We have a lot to play for right now.
Locked in, championship focus.
Russ to throw for it, and it is caught. Touchdown. Try it on the ground. Rich Carson trying to stay on his feet, and he'll get there.
This is why Pete Carroll was so excited to get him back.
Wentz throwing, and it is caught for the touchdown. Dallas Goedert. Fourth down upcoming.
Got to kick a field goal here.
Wentz throwing, and there's the interception. Quandre Diggs. Fly, Seahawks, fly in the Philadelphia end zone.
Yeah, I wouldn't exactly call it fly, Eagles fly. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to First Take. Thank you so much for being with us. Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman, I'm Molly Karen Rose. Monday Night Football, we'll dive right into it. It's actually the Hawks that are soaring. The Eagles have fallen. Carson Wentz has now had 15 interceptions. He's taken 45 sacks thus far this season. Something like that hasn't happened since the 80s. Max, I'll start with you. They have just... Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, Molly, I can't start off the show without highlighting the blue is looking very, very lovely. Max Kellerman, the tie, the dapping, all of that stuff. But you might want to move the tie a little bit to your right. Just a little bit, Max Kellerman, to your right-hand side. I'm saying just a little.
To my right, like this, you mean, right?
To your right. Yeah. Just a little bit over. Just
yes. There we go.
I got you. Well, thank you.
Now we're on point.
We ready.
I'm just here for y'all. Crossing our T's.
I'm just trying to be here for y'all.
I'm
just trying to be here for y'all.
Not a Windsor, so it's a little asymmetrical.
All right, let's go.
Philly guys, just 3 wins. Max, tell me this. Do you think the Eagles need to just clean house at this point?
Oh, yeah, there's no other. I mean, like, look, I'm the one. Yes, the answer is yes. I'm the one coming out always and killing Carson Wentz because I noticed since last year when everyone was saying how great he was playing, he was regressing badly. That's continued now till no one can deny it anymore. But, yes, it's not just Wentz. Peterson going for it down 11 on 4th down. And you know me, I'm like all for going for it on 4th down. But situational football, your offense can't do anything. Make it a 1-score game. This is not rocket science. To me, that's Peterson saying, I don't want anything to do with this. Right? He has plausible deniability or whatever. I need to get away from this. Howie Roseman, I mean, a lot of people stupidly passed up on DK Metcalf, Molly, who you and many others were saying, what about this guy over here? You should. But Howie Roseman was one of them. Howie Roseman passed up on Jefferson to take Rager, who was said he runs a 1.240. Remember, you heard things like he runs a 4.340, but at the combine it was closer to 4.5 and couldn't get separation at all yesterday. No, and by the way, and then drafts Jalen Hurts in the 2nd round, who's clearly that's an indictment of Carson Wentz, but obviously Hurts isn't ready to do anything, or they'd have given him a more of a look so far. And by the way, Peterson, when he puts Hurts in, the offense is doing nothing. They have like 5 consecutive series with possessions with like they're 3 and out, they're 3 and out, they're 3 and out. They put Hurts in, there's a pre-snap penalty, and then he completes like a 6-yard pass. Immediately, Carson Wentz comes back in, right? So it's terrible Peterson, but I think it's almost intentional at this point. Peterson's like, I got to distance myself from this. He's a Super Bowl winning coach. He'll get another head coaching job. I think Roseman also, this stinks. The drafting Hurts doesn't make any sense under the circumstances. He keeps missing with the wide receivers, right, in terms of putting something together. And then obviously Carson Wentz. Guys, do I have to keep saying it? Do I have to keep saying it? The dude is the worst starting quarterback in the NFL right now. Stephen A., if you want to say, well, if Roseman and Peterson were doing better, he wouldn't be the worst, I agree with that. He'd be average, low average. The dude ain't getting paid average, low average. He has an immovable contract. Again, find a taker for the contract. What have I been saying, like, earlier in the season? See if you can get Nick Foles for Carson Wentz. Not that Foles would do any better with this Eagles team, but at least you get out. Like, Foles has a modest contract. Wentz is getting paid like a superstar. So at least you get out from under Wentz's contract, and the Bears will get a mobile quarterback who at least used to be able to pass the ball down the field.
Out
Wentz
because
was
I have
awful
a
again.
question.
Stephen A., yes.
You're confusing me. Are you saying the coach needs to go, the GM needs to go, or everybody needs to go? I'm lost. What are you saying?
I thought, well, Well, the GM, the coach, and the quarterback is everybody. So I am saying everybody.
Yeah.
I will just end by saying this and hand it to you. Carson Wentz was facing an historically bad defense last night, and he made them look like the '85 Bears. Right? They couldn't get, they had like negative 3 yards in their first 5. It was ridiculous. He can't do anything. He's shot. And I blame the enablers on the team and in the media who keep telling him how great he is when he keeps regressing. Why doesn't anyone tell him the truth? Carson Wentz, you stink. But there was greatness in there. But right now it's all messed up. You got to get better.
Okay. Now, before I go into my soliloquy, let me ask you a question, Max Kellerman. Are you aware of how old Carson Wentz is? He's 28.
27.
He's 28 years old.
28.
Well, I'm sorry. They said 28. I'm sorry. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But it says right here he's 28 years old. What I'm asking you is this: at the age of 25, were we not saying that he was great? That he was on the verge of greatness?
Yep. He was.
Okay, so what I'm saying to you is where you and I part ways is that your criticisms are on point. But when we talk about cleaning house, that means everybody got to go. And I'm of the mindset that Peterson has to go, even though Peterson is a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And do you know why I believe Peterson has to go? For exactly the reason you said. He don't look like he wants to coach this guy. He doesn't look like he believes in this guy.
Agreed.
He doesn't look like he believes that this is the guy that he wants to ride with. But the Eagles are committed, to $59 million to this man over the next year or two? He ain't going anywhere. So the fact that Carson Wentz ain't going anywhere because you're not going to get anybody to take those numbers, and on top of it all, you got to pay him those numbers. I'm sorry, the head coach, who used to be an offensive coordinator, who used to be a quarterback's coach, that dude has to be held accountable because that's your job. Now, if you were a defensive coordinator, let's say, for example, Max, he was Tony Dungy, or he was Lovie Smith, or he was Mike Tomlin or somebody. Hell, if he was Vic Fangio, well, guess what? Defense is your thing. I brought in a quarterback's coach. I brought in an offensive coordinator to work with this guy, and it's not working out. That would be different. But for Peterson, this is what you do. This is what you're supposed to do. Frank Reich was there as the quarterback's coach and the offensive coordinator when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. I get that. But damn, who brought Frank Reich on his staff? That was Peterson. He was a member of your staff. I'd like to believe y'all communicated. I'd like to believe there's a thing or two here that not only you knew and you taught him, but vice versa. He was able to impart his wisdom upon you so you could have a profoundly positive effect on the franchise quarterback. The fact that the quarterback has regressed, we know that he's had injuries and we understand it. But if we looked at Carson Wentz, Max, and saw him hobbling, if we saw that his legs were never the same, et cetera, I get all of that. But when you look at him and you see that he's healthy, that physically, even though he's getting beat up because the offensive line is trash, they can't protect him, he can't even step back to take a deep breath for crying out loud before they're all over him. Still in all, he's getting up play after play, quarter after quarter, game after game. So I have to look at the coach. You don't play. You're the coach. It's your job to figure out a way to maximize this dude's ability. When you talk about his regression, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm simply saying, wait a minute. When do we look at Peterson? And when do we look at Peterson, Max, and go right to what you said? Think about it, Max. The picture that you painted. You just imagined it. You didn't report it as fact. I'm just talking about one time when you were here on the show and you just utilized your imagination. And you said, imagine Peterson being in that room with Foles, with Carson Wentz, and you talked about what he probably wanted. Well, if you didn't get it, who would know that they were not wanted? It would be Carson Wentz. You're coaching them like you don't want to coach them. So go. That's where I'm at with it.
Well, look, I can't. Yes, Peterson's got to go too. Clearly, he doesn't want to coach the team. It looks to me. He looks like he wants no part of it.
He doesn't want to coach Carson Wentz.
And Roseman, I said also, he's got to go. Roseman screwed this up too bad, including the Hurts drafting. And everything is wrong right now. The team needs to be built from the ground up again. They need to just restart. They got a Super Bowl out of this era. They should be very happy. Of course, the quarterback who's responsible for it mainly is out of town. Like, he won all the playoff games and won Super Bowl MVP, and he's not there anymore. But I'm talking about Wentz right now, Stephen A. The reason, even this game, everyone's arguing with me, telling me their only chance to win is with Carson Wentz. In fact, Hurts may have given them a better chance to win. If this was supposed to be the game to find out about Wentz, he ain't got it, right? And what people have missed is by not benching him, what I suggested like a month ago, 3-4 games ago, he never got the message. He was never held accountable to the team. He has continued to regress. Stephen A., It's such shocking regression at this time. It's a continuation of the middle of last year that I noticed last year. But it's kept going, because all he hears is how great he is. That's why he says things like, this is the way we do it around here. Remember what he had? He had Goddard, the tight end, twice on linebackers, right? Once it was obviously Bobby Wagner, and who was at the other time. And he underthrew the ball so badly that they got a pass interference call out of it, right? Because coming back on the play, the linebacker knocks into Goddard. Like, he is so bad when something good happens, it's by luck. It's because he's so bad, the defense can't even kind of compute how bad he is.
But, Max, you got two running backs that are one's averaging nearly 5 yards a carry. The other's averaging over 5 yards a carry. You're talking about Miles Sanders and Boston Scott. They got 8 carries last night. 8! What are you doing?
Ridiculous.
When I look at Howie Roseman, listen, I don't like the fact that he drafted Jalen Hurts. I get all of that with the investment that you made in Carson Wentz. The flip side is Carson Wentz's durability was a question mark, so it sort of made sense because you never knew when he was going to get hurt. My point is, when you look at their defense, their secondary might have been compromised, but excuse me, it's not trash. You got some good defensive players on that side of the ball. You got a guy in Schwartz that knows what he's doing, coaching the defense as your defensive coordinator. So we get all of that. Offensively, you got a running game. Offensively, you've got some decent receivers. You certainly tight at the linebacker spot with Ertz and Goddard. So what I'm saying to you is that it's really about Wentz and Peterson more so than it's about Roseman. Roseman didn't make the right move with this particular draft, but the man did help them win a Super Bowl after the Chip Kelly disaster. He came back, took over, helped deliver a Super Bowl. He had a part in hiring Peterson, obviously. You see the roster that they assembled. I can't point the finger at Roseman, and I'm not even questioning Peterson in terms of his capabilities. I am saying that you look at him and Wentz, and clearly, that is not a marriage that is going to last. It needs to be a divorce.
Stephen A., real quick.
Since I'm stuck with Wentz's ability at 28 years of age, I'm going to get rid of the coach before I get rid of that brother.
Real quick, because I think you pointed to something that tells me Peterson wants out. If the quarterback can't